What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Tap. Today, I am John. I'm John every day, but today I am bringing you your late round quarterbacks, some guys that I am very excited to get to you. All of them will be going at the pick 140 or later. But before we get started, just wanted to say I hope you are enjoying these shorter videos. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below, as well as the bell icon. If you hit that bell icon, you're going to get all of the alerts to let you know when we're posting these great videos. You might have gotten the alert to check out Mike's new video where he's going to pick his 5 bounce back players. And then earlier he did do a 0 RB strategy, as well as giving you some of those targets. And I'm very, very excited to bring you guys that one because I'm going to be stealing some of these guys from him when I play against them this year. But again, going to these quarterbacks, these are going to be guys after pick 140, late round, going to give you a real good chance to pick up some great quality running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, and build up an established, stout roster week in and week out, while picking a quarterback that has either big upside, great consistency, maybe getting slept on, or just could have a breakout year. One of these guys that have been standing out to me and I've been finding myself drafting a lot lately is Kirk Cousins. The reason I've been picking him up so much lately is the fact that he's being drafted at quarterback 19. ADP of 148 means he's going at the end of the 13th round, right around the 14th. And you're going to be getting such an incredible value from him. Last year, he finished as quarterback 11 and finished his weeks as a quarterback 1 62.5% of the time. That means he's giving you a consistent floor, making sure that you're getting those good points week in and week out. And he's not going to be the reason that you're losing those weeks. And when you've spent all this draft capital early on high-end players, those guys are going to push you well above and win you that week, getting you into those playoffs almost guaranteed. Last season, though, he did have 8 games throwing for 3 touchdowns or more. And the only quarterback in the league to beat him out there would be Aaron Rodgers, who did it 12 times. He did finish the season as the quarterback 1 in week 17, putting up in some insane numbers, and then finished as quarterback 8 in total passing yards last year, while his team finished 25th in passing plays per game. That means that his yards per attempt is absolutely insane. The average expectation of what you should be getting from Kirk Cousins is really boosted by the fact of the team around him. And that's going to be Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and hopefully Irv Smith takes another step forward this year. When you've got those many options at that high-end level, it gets you yards in every facet. 63% of their offense last season was a passing down. And that becomes on the fact that Dalvin Cook is one of the best pass-catching backs in the league currently. He's someone who can get 50, 60 passing targets and catches a year. And when that's coming from the quarterback that's giving those quarterback those extra receiving yards, extra passing completions, and expected receiving touchdowns, or passing touchdowns. Sorry, he's just not going to be catching the ball. Could be, trick play. But what he won't be doing is running the ball in. Since getting to Minnesota, Kirk Cousins has only had 1 rushing touchdown per season. And that's really the only thing that's been capping him and possibly why he's been falling on these boards. He's not going to be getting you those 200-yard rush or those 200-yard seasons. Actually, that's what he's going to be getting you, about 200 yards a season. Nothing great. You're not going to get 100 yards in a game. You're not going to get those 3 touchdown games. He's not even going to get you 5 touchdowns in the year to help boost that point value. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be sitting where he is right now. Kirk Cousins is going again at quarterback 19. And I think with the team around him, that ecstatic offense and that huge effort to get the ball downfield with those big playmakers, Kirk Cousins is going to have another great season. You can look at him as a possible quarterback 1 option for you, especially if you wanted to take someone a little riskier early on. Moving on to the second quarterback, another guy that you might have heard of, especially if you caught one of these previous episodes about bounce back players, Carson Wentz. Currently, quarterback 22, ADP of 168, going even later than Kirk Cousins, and it's more of a community bias against him. Everyone has this idea that Carson Wentz isn't a good quarterback, and he might not be the best guy. But last season, he was putting up some fairly great QB numbers before getting benched by Jalen Hurts, and then eventually coming back into it. And then in 2019, he did finish as the quarterback 12 when he played his 16 games. Last year in that limited 12 games, he finished as quarterback 22. So he was putting up nearly 20 points per game. And again, just like that Kirk Cousins thing, giving you points week in and week out. It may not be the best, it may not be the greatest, but it's a consistent floor that's giving you those wins. It's not about having the guy that can give you 50 points one game and 10 points the next two. You want those people that can keep pushing you along, especially when you're taking them this late in a draft, and for as little value as you're going to be spending on them. But Carson Wentz is going to be leaving the Eagles, where he was sacked 50 times in those 12 games. Actually, the most he's ever been sacked in his career in a season. And again, only happening in 12 games. But he's going over to the Colts, which should help him a lot. His biggest problem last season was the fact that he had 19 turnovers on only 21 touchdowns. And those fumbles and interceptions, not only do they take a little bit of negative points off your fantasy total at the end of the year, but they kill drives. They give you you lose the opportunity of your team, or you throwing another 30 yards plus a touchdown, or just killing the drive, killing your flow, and eventually getting you taken out of the game where you're not going to be playing anymore. And I do believe that part of the reason that happened was the fact that the Eagles' offensive line takes so many hits early on to the season. PFF actually ranked them as the 19th last year, while the Colts were ranked the 6th. And as we know, the Indianapolis Colts have an amazing offensive front. And I do think that Carson Wentz is going to be able to be someone who can thrive with those receivers there, coming off of a team where they haven't had many receiving options. T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman, all three of those guys are better than most of the options that they had for the Eagles, especially with the majority of the receiving core being out last year. I think Carson Wentz is someone who's being slept on mainly because of he moved teams. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't great, but he was very good in fantasy football, and that's what we're playing here, guys. So make sure that you're paying attention to him and seeing if he gets slept on or is sliding in your drafts. I do think he's going to be absolutely amazing. And then as far as number 3, we do have my hometown guy, Tua Taga. And I do believe he's in for a breakout season. He's getting ready for his sophomore season, year number 2, after only playing a handful of games last season, getting in for a couple plays, getting taken out as you're losing the game. Didn't look great. When he did come in against the Rams last season, he looked a little lackluster. He didn't do anything that made anyone who's high expectations from him say, woo, but he also didn't do anything to make you say, wow, no, this isn't the guy. The whole game style in that offense for the beginning part of his runtime there in Miami, everything just looked very, very safe. But honestly, he did have some flash in the pan moments, and a lot of those came in big time situations, which I really love to see from a guy, especially when they're so young. And those big games were against Kansas City, where he threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, Buffalo, before the season ended, where he threw the ball 58 times, but some costly interceptions really killed the drives, but he did finish as a quarterback 1 in 30% of those games that he played. My man wasn't amazing. He didn't have the best receiving options. The Dolphins, another team where that receiving core was getting bit up by the injury bug, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and then Mike Gesicki even there at the end. But they completely changed that. They went out and grabbed Will Fuller, who's going to be missing week 1, spending a 6th overall draft pick on Jalen Waddle, who happened to be teammates in college with Tua, as everyone knows, and could possibly be one of the best deep threat receivers out of the draft, as well one of the best slot receivers coming in too. This guy can play all over the field and is so explosive and so quick. The Dolphins have also expressed a very strong need to get better at the downfield play. Some of the coaches being quoted saying that they're going to be working themselves downfield this year and early into the training camp period. And with Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle being 2 of their acquisitions in this offseason, I do believe that they are expecting Tua to move that ball downfield, and they see it in him. And 2 great receivers down there means those balls are going to be caught. I see Tua taking huge strides forward, and right now you're grabbing him at quarterback 18, pick 144 in the draft. And I do think that he has the opportunity of finding himself in a quarterback 1 situation, but more realistically, in the floor, he's going to be a mid-range quarterback 2, giving you consistent numbers week in and week out, and you're only going to be seeing upside from him from where you're going to be getting him right now. And then to finish off my list, we've got Jameis Winston. This is a little bit more of a risky pick because there is no established quarterback 1 in New Orleans right now. And then with Michael Thomas coming out, it doesn't help the receiving options there. Jameis Winston did not play many games and many snaps in 2020, but he did finish as the quarterback 4 just 1 year before that for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, throwing for 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns. Sadly, as we all know, that was accompanied by his 30 interceptions and lost fumbles. But you gotta understand the man had his LASIK surgery, so those interceptions are fixed. Not a big deal anymore. But since entering the league, Jameis Winston has been very great at staying fantasy relevant year in and year out, finishing outside of the outside of a quarterback 1 spot his rookie and sophomore seasons, and then finding 2 years at quarterback 22 on the years after that breakout, not playing a full season. But week in, week out, he's been averaging 24 fantasy points per game in a 4-point touchdown league, and 2 touchdowns per game. Those numbers are absolutely great. He is a gunslinging quarterback. Now, if he comes into this New Orleans offense and is established as the quarterback 1 for this team, you're looking at gold. We do know Michael Thomas will be missing an undisclosed amount of time. As of right now, there's speculation that it's 1 week, 4 week, 10 week, 6 week, 10 years. We'll never see him again. Who knows? But there's other receivers there. Traquan Smith has taken a step forward last year. He did not look electric. He did not look amazing, but he didn't look bad, and he looked very competent. Marquez Callaway is another guy who's young, could take steps forward, as well as Deontay Harris. Not to mention that they do have Adam Troutman there. And the best pass catcher on the team, Alvin Kamara, in the backfield, going 3 seasons of 81 catches, and then last season breaking that at 86. The man is an absolute monster. He will be able to keep Jameis Winston that ball down in the low flats, out of the backfield, as well as these other 3 guys eating that downfield pressure or coming across the middle. And he has a huge, huge arm. And then when Michael Thomas does come back, that's just going to open the field up for him so much more. And we're going to be able to see big numbers from Jameis Winston. We do know that Sean Payton likes to move the ball around through the air. Taysom Hill's not going to be that guy. And I think that Jameis Winston's going to be the starter this next year, or in 2021. There was reports that Drew Brees told him, hey, this is your team now, blah, 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 on one of the final moments of his run there. But I think that Jameis Winston's the most talented guy. Obviously throwing for 5,100 yards in the NFL is not something that everyone can say they've done, not even the NFL quarterback world. So we do know that he has the talent to move the ball. And if you're picking him up as quarterback 31, you're going to be taking him as your last pick, a reassuring quarterback, or just a hopeful, and that's going to bring you absolutely nothing but value, and that could possibly win you your league if your quarterback goes down and you took him way, way late. Now, guys, those are my 4 late-round quarterbacks that I personally am targeting in drafts when I see them available to me. Some of these guys could be that your quarterback 1 that you're not the strongest with that has that upside. Guys like Kirk, guys like Tua, guys like Wentz could possibly be him too. And then you also have some very, very solid Superflex options. And if you've got them at a Superflex position, you're set, you're solid, you're great. But thank you again for choosing this episode and tuning into it. Make sure to check out all of our previous episodes. Going to shout out Mike's video about his bounce back players one more time, and then going to tell you guys to make sure to check out the Discord link that's down in the bottom, where we have a great community filling with more and more of you guys every episode. So make sure you guys are jumping into that. You can rate your teams. You can check out some new dynasty leagues, talk about the latest news, ask about who your breakouts are, and see what other people in the fantasy community think about that. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.